It's a very, very small group of people, many of them clueless.
Hi, everybody. It's Gene Simmons, and you're not. This is Kiss My Collectibles podcast that you knew.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Kiss My Collectibles. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jason Herndon, and with me, as always, is Joe Lalich and Nicholas Buckland.
Jason's had enough of me already.
I
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Right. Good night.
What's going on, guys?
Good night.
Jason, are your feelings hurt already?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, good.
It's coming, though.
It is.
It's coming. So, well, joining us in Canada, from Canada right now, from Australia, from the UK to Australia to the US, back to Australia, then to Canada. Is that right?
Yeah.
Dave Scott.
Now,
Yeah.
As they used to say in some of those wrestling programs, from parts unknown. Dave Scott.
Dave Scott, everybody.
yay!
Ooh, welcome back.
It's only been a year.
It has.
Now, which one of you is going to sing happy birthday to me?
Holy crap, it has been a year. Hold on.
Is today's the actual day, isn't it?
No. Well, that we recorded?
No, the day Dave Scott's birthday.
That was Monday. No, that was Monday.
Right.
Monday.
Hmm.
Oh, so
Happy birthday for Monday.
The second.
Right.
Oh, that's right. The anniversary of the last Kiss show, right?
Yeah, so when was the anniversary of the last time we were... Is this part two?
It could
Remember
be.
we finished that show? Like,
I
we
think-
did... That was the one that went for 3.5 hours, and at the end of it, we said, we should really talk about the show. We'll do part two. And we never did.
This is it. 1 year later,
This is it.
almost to the day.
Yeah, we
Thanks
can't
for waiting, everybody.
Where?
Nobody was waiting for you, Dave.
Yeah. Somebody's at home just clicking refresh, like for a year.
About time.
He'll be back any minute.
Not like this show to let them down, is it?
December 15th is when we recorded or posted that show.
Well, you'll have to post this one on December 15th.
Yeah.
Just
But,
to make that one person happy.
but speaking of anniversaries, does anyone know what today is? It's a very unimportant anniversary.
I can't believe we don't know this unimportant anniversary.
Color me disinterested.
What is it? What's today? Oh no, for you guys, it's the 4th of December, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the 4th of December.
For me, it's January 6th. So
1932.
The anniversary of the crest of the backlash of the avatars.
Do I have to
Yes.
edit that out?
That is true. The avatars. Is it? Yeah. Is it the anniversary of the avatars?
It was the fevered pitch of everybody being the most angry about the avatars.
That's right. No. This is going to be anticlimactic now, but this is the 9th anniversary of the first Kiss My Wax podcast episode.
Now, hold
Wow,
on.
9 years.
December 4th, 9 years.
Hold on now.
Now, hold on. It came up in my Facebook memories. I was like,
Oh, that's nice. Okay, cool.
I put some big post about previous
Starting it.
hosts, co-hosts. So
Well, congratulations on 9
9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
consistent years. Both in quality and timing.
That's right. All right. So it's our second episode in 2 weeks' time. And 4 for 2024.
It's been a slow year.
All right. All right. We're going to do skip or play, guys. We haven't done one in a long, long time. These are easy episodes to do. And we're going to cover Joe's absolute favorite Kiss record, Carnival of Souls.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't wait.
I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Hopefully, this podcast is shorter than that record.
Yeah.
It's at least shorter than the intro.
So that record is 60 minutes and 11 seconds. Dress to Kill is 30 minutes and 7 seconds. Would you rather listen to Dress to Kill twice or this once? This is the new show. We just play Would You Rather with Derek Salmond. It's gonna make for a really quick show. Would you rather?
I'll Dress to Kill twice any day.
Jason's
Yeah,
like,
is there anybody that wouldn't rather do that?
Jason's
Yeah.
like, why can't I do both?
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to them at the same time.
His Spotify playlist proves that he did,
That's right.
because there aren't literally enough minutes in a year to cover how much time he spends listening to Kiss.
I don't trust the Spotify playlists after that Taylor Swift accusation. I don't trust them.
Taylor Swift was number 1 on Dave's.
She was 5.
She was 5.
See, I've got an excuse because I got kids using the same thing. You've got no excuse. So
I was trying to impress a
it's
Yeah, I
girl.
have a family
I
plan.
was trying to impress a girl.
Each
Yeah.
one has their own rap.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
Well, oddly enough, my wife and my daughter, Kiss was number 1 on Bella's list, and number 3 on Stacy's list.
You've
Wow.
left them both broken women.
There's a lot of Kool-Aid in your house, man.
Yeah.
Oh, this is funny stuff.
The chemical plant out your back window. Those neurotoxins have infiltrated you and ruined everything.
Microplastics.
You always said living under those power lines was going to have an effect, didn't you?
I'm gonna open it.
Oh, what's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
It's amazing you said power lines, and the very first part of that clip is
That's
power
great.
lines. That was like really weird.
Great. Speaking of power lines,
Yeah,
Here's that clip.
let's get this show on the road.
that's right. Who has something to show? New.
I have stuff. I
Right,
have,
Joe,
I have a couple of stuffs.
Dave goes first.
So I really wanted a copy of
Taylor Swift. Reputation.
Double Platinum from Japan, but I wanted the crazy collection one. But it's got this tear there that you can see very clearly. But because of that, I was able to pick this up for about $70. And it's in really great condition apart from the Nakadobi. So I think that was a decent purchase.
What else did the crazy collection come with? Like, did that just have the Japanese lyric sheet, or was there anything else that series came with?
It's just got something good. What I really like about it is the illustrations on the inside.
In white. Is that in white? Just printed in
Yeah,
white?
and they're different line drawings. They're very different drawings from the ones in the Aussie.
Yeah, pull the Obi out, Dave, because it's different, Nicholas. It's a long.
Yeah.
It's a sheet
Oh yeah. It's a different style of design, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's different.
isn't it? Yeah.
I think I showed my copy of Rock and Roll Over like that on a couple of episodes ago, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Nicholas
Yeah.
doesn't watch our episodes, so we have to show him now.
Unless I'm in them.
He doesn't watch any episode that in the title includes the letters V, I, N, Y, or L. Other than that, he watches all the episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing I picked up, it's got a slightly chewed up corner.
Woo!
Finally got me a taste of platinum.
That's beautiful.
Mm.
And
What
that
does it taste
goes-
like?
What's that?
Have you tasted it?
I've trimmed the edge of it for a taste. but-
Okay.
And that goes with, I finally got
Whoa.
it as well. So these two finished they're the ones when everybody always says, I'm chasing the promotional things, and then we go, they're the easy ones to get. I finally got the 2 hard ones. And then this one that Joe made me buy, and I didn't know existed. And it's a promo. If you can see
So that is a promo.
See the writing on the label, but it is a promo. And the reason I didn't think it existed is because once upon a time there was a Bible put out, and it's not listed in that.
What?
There's no in that. There's no Blue Label promo listed.
A Blue Label promo for Alive?
Yeah,
there has to be.
I looked in there. I couldn't see it.
100% is.
Feel free to go check your book.
I would also believe that it is.
Yes, you're crazy.
The thing, it's very hard to find. It's a very hard promo to find. One of the tougher ones.
And I was bitching and whining about it having writing on it, and then Joe berated me.
Yeah, you got to just get it when you see it. I actually didn't have one until maybe about a year and a half ago, about a year and a half ago. I didn't have a copy of that. Very tough.
It wasn't super expensive, was it? So I just
I guess you grab those ones, and then in the future, if someone offers you it again, and then you just do your upgrade thing. Like I think we talked about that in the last episode, that you could get them while you can get them, and then like I always wanted to get another Kiss phono record player with that, because some kids drawn a bit of blue texture on that center, the center, what's that for the singles, that center ring thing, and it doesn't come off with anything. So I always go, I'll get this now, and it was great to display, but it was always that one where I went, if that comes up again, I'll upgrade and then sell this version of it. But yeah, didn't do that.
At the risk of a fist fight breaking out between the Aussies, I did that with my Dynasty skivvies / straight jacket record. I had a beat copy that I think Jason that I sent to you, and then you upgraded your copy. So we've been chasing that thing for a minute.
Yeah, and I gave it to Pat Lucero. Gave it to him.
He deserves it.
Yeah, I love Pat. I'd like to apologize to Dave Scott.
Is it really not in the book?
I'd like you to apologize to Dave Scott, and I'd like to berate whoever did the art direction and the design in that book.
I didn't have anything to do with the content. Thank you.
Seriously, that can't be true.
It doesn't list a Blue Label demo promo, does it? Look at it. It's just this pause while everybody considers that the clown that you brought in knows
I was just thinking I'd ended up in the wrong podcast. If I joined Kiss My Wax.
What are we talking about vinyl for? What are we talking about this for?
Well, folks, I do not see a promo copy of any kind for Alive in the U.S. section of the Kiss My Wax books.
Nope.
And Jason, would we argue that might be, we did the top 10 list, and then we had a couple of stragglers, that obviously outside of the top 10, but certainly, maybe top 20 toughest records to find out of the bunch.
It's tough.
Really tough to find.
It's really tough to find.
There's one here.
Yeah, well, there's one here.
There's not one in that book, though.
No matter how hard you look, Jason.
No, you can keep looking at it, Jason.
Sure, I'm not missing the word somewhere, because it would be in the notes, the details over here.
Yeah.
I mean, how could that be? I'm glad I didn't write this. Cut forward, no gold stamp. Oh, promo blue. Yeah.
Crazy.
Left it out. Wow.
All right.
Who knew?
That's a show right there.
That's it.
Who knew? You know who knew? Me.
Yeah, I guess you did. All of us people that have looked at that book, the guy who laid it out or whatever you did to it, never noticed.
Ruined it.
Yeah,
I proofread it.
Not very well.
Never know.
I don't know why you're putting your hand up to claim this.
I am fired. That's terrible. All right, Nicholas, what'd you get?
Nice batch of records, Dave. Nicholas, what you got?
I have. This is probably, again, some of the things I collect are less interesting to other people, but this one came in.
You have no idea.
I know. But this is a rare double page ad for if I can hold it straight, for Detroit Rock City with visit your nearest, where I don't know what Journey's store is, but visit your nearest Journey's store to buy it, and you can get a free soundtrack sampler with the purchase of Vans shoes. So they're giving the stuff away, but yes, that's it. Nothing. I love it anyway, even if no one else shares my interest for these things. I like the printed ads.
I thought you quit collecting ads.
I can never stop fully quitting things. Yeah. It's like saying I don't do heroin anymore. I did some before the show, hence my energy level.
Clearly.
I believe it's very Moorish.
I was at the filming of the concert sequences for that, and I believe it was in London, Ontario.
That's awesome, dude.
I went with a friend of mine, and we laugh about it to this day because all they said for all the hours that we were there was, please put the musicians in the baskets, because they kept filming the basket sequence, Dave Scott and Nicholas, as you would know, in the creative field, over and over and over and over. And then they had everybody move from this side of the arena to the other side of the arena. Now they're shooting this side, and over and over and over again. It was crazy.
Tell me that you stood there with your arms folded the whole time.
Yeah. I never liked these guys. They stink.
I can't wait till 20 years later when I'm on a podcast and I can tell the world about it.
That's right. One of these days I'll have my revenge.
That's right. All right. So I'll just show three things real quick. And it's vinyl. So this popped up in wax the other day, and I had never seen it before. I'm sure many of the vinyl guys have seen it.
Is it in the book?
And it is not in the book. Actually, all three of the records I'm about to show you are not in the book. Two of them because they came out after the book was printed. But
somebody needs to make a new book.
That's right. This, I guess it's kind of in the book, but the back cover makes it different, and maybe somebody watching can elaborate a little bit. But so it's a
Elder?
Austrian copy of the Elder.
Yep.
So this is from Austria. And what makes it different is that for the song titles there.
They've colored that area of the door.
What I assume is they had the what would have been the original track listing printed here.
Yeah.
And then colored it over and put in what the actual track listing ended up being.
Is that the gatefold or the non-gatefold?
Yeah, it's gatefold.
I could be wrong, but I think there's an Austrian one like that that's non-gatefold.
Oh, okay. Well, so, and it's a FilmWorks kind of label. There we go. But it says in the book that it just says Austria and it says FilmWorks label, but it doesn't say anything special about the back jacket. So what I don't know, and what I was wondering, is if there's a version out there that doesn't have this type of back cover. So I don't know. Tell me.
I have a feeling mine's like that. I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. And then we've got the anniversary editions of Hotter Than Hell.
That's pretty.
Yeah, it's really nice. That brightness, man, I hate that. So
that's embossed, isn't it?
This is the colored vinyl, and it's embossed. And that photo is way clearer than the original, but pretty cool hype sticker.
Yeah.
And, the back.
And our friend Tom said that he rescanned and rebuilt the entire thing from scratch because he was unhappy with it, and he's saying
Right.
this is the sharpest that cover photo has ever been.
That's right. This is embossed as well.
Cool.
So
I got that coming. I thought it was coming today. Yeah.
And it's pretty neat, yellow on the inside.
Oh,
It's pretty cool. And the colored vinyl comes with a single-sided poster, super high gloss poster, but a cool poster nonetheless.
now that's cool. I
Great
really like
They
that.
should really consider start selling these posters outside of these records rolled. How cool would that be? Be able to frame them if you cared for that kind of stuff. And then the vinyl.
I love the high gloss on them.
The vinyl is, what they call gold nugget, and they're doing all of the 50th anniversary colored vinyl are going to be gold nugget. So that's that. And then we have the Hotter Than Hell picture disc, limited to 500. There's the hype sticker.
Mm-hmm.
Are they numbered?
Yes. This one is 336, and I think I have 337 down here.
It's advertised as being holographic. Do they just mean foil? Is that what, or is there
It's
some
foil.
kind of colored? Has it got that kind of mirror, that rainbow kind of look when in the silver foil, or not really?
It's silver foil, Nicholas.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like all the other silver foils. I can't get the damn thing. Okay. So they all come in these resealable sleeves, the picture discs. That's what they've been doing. And really, really beautiful cover. It is not embossed, but it is foil, as you can tell. And foil on the back, and it is a tip-on sleeve.
They've really hit their groove with these, haven't they? This is like we would have wanted 5-6 years ago. Like,
that's correct. And then the inside of this one is red.
Red.
Instead of yellow.
Whoa.
Yeah, Tom is really knocking it out of the park. And
what I quite like about where they're now using the foil in that is that they're also pulling parts out to have the white behind it. So it's not just a flat foil cover. Like, I mean, I did love that music for the Elder and the Kiss Killers one, but it was just pure foil. So in some lights, it looks totally grey and dark. And you get that Elder one, that brown door just looks way too dark. But I like how he's put white behind the Kiss characters, and the same deal was on that Dynasty one. He had put white behind the faces as well. So so you can see that while the background's reflecting, the characters themselves are staying normal. I really like the combination of the two that he's doing. Really well done.
It's not just a flood of silver.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you call that, Joe? Spot foil? Like
probably not. It's probably they're printing white. So it's on a foil substrate, and then they're printing white.
Got it.
As an extra color instead of using paper as the color, I would assume.
There's one side of the picture disc, and there's the other side of the picture disc.
How does that differ from the Dutch ones?
The Dutch one is similar on this side, and I think the Dutch, I'd have to grab it. I don't think it has that face. I think it has a semblance of the back cover. You want me to grab it?
Yeah, have a look.
It's right here. Let me step over this. Well, it's supposed to be right here. Walk amongst yourselves.
Do you have all the Dutch picture discs?
Say it again.
I was asking if you have all the Dutch.
I do. It's the whole outback.
Hang on, I'll solo. And can you put them next to each other? So we can see the two.
Juggle them?
I see. Okay.
Nope.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's the whole back cover of Dutch.
Yeah.
And then go back to solo. And so the poster in this one is double-sided, so it's the same shot there, but then you get this badass shot on the back.
They look so cool there. I just love that photo.
Excellent. So kudos to Tom German. I love it.
When are you going to get him on to talk about these?
It's funny you say that because I was just thinking about that. yesterday. I was like, we should have Tom on to talk about all of the releases that he's done so far, and talk about how his thought process changed throughout.
Yeah.
When he first started designing these until now and stuff like that. I think that'd be a good idea. So
they've certainly come a long way from in terms of, I think, in quality since the one that was never, I think a lot of people complained about, I remember at the time, was Double Platinum, when it had the solo faces on it in those colors, and I think a lot of people went, yuck, that's awful. So I think, but nowadays I find most people are really enjoying almost everything that's coming out now.
Yeah.
They're great.
Apart from damages, it's and we got lucky on Hotter Than Hell because do what? I missed the joke. Tell me the joke.
No, I said apart from the demons.
You're just trying to set me off again.
Just a trigger warning, All I'm doing is watching him in the bottom corner of my screen going, I'm just going to say ding and see what happens.
All right. That's all. Well, I did get these things, but I'm not going to go through them. Those are pretty neat.
All right. Oh, okay, cool.
Are they lobby cards?
I'll follow you. Hang on.
Yeah, they're like the.
Do you know what country those ones are from?
Promo glossies. I think Perstrid said these he thought were from the U.S.
Did Attack of the Phantoms get played in the US?
Yes, it did. In a few theaters, they have some advertisements in those books that. Why did he send me that? Well, I will be damned.
There's $500 in here.
It's not all of them. I think there's like 25 of these.
Yeah.
And I think I got like 6 or something like that. And they're all shown in pairs and Perstrid's and Elaine's book. Now this one I think is a different country.
Yeah. Does that say what's the company there? Because is it Avco
Embassy
Avco?
Pictures.
I think that's the British one.
I think it is
Avco,
the British.
I think it's either British or Australian. It's the same as the stickers with Avco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyway, I opened up this package that I just got from somebody, and I was like, "What is that paper?" And it's a damn press kit for Unplugged.
That's pretty
The
cool.
guy just threw it in. Well, that was very nice.
There you go.
Anyway, all right. So enough of that. Skip or play. Track one. Hey,
how long are we in? 30 minutes in. Somebody's come to listen to Skip or Play and listen to this for 30 minutes.
That's the way the podcast is.
That's it.
How many viewers do you have?
I don't know. These episodes get between 3,000 and 5,000 views minimally. I was looking at some. I think the most we've got for an actual podcast is 15,000, 16,000, something like that.
And Joe was on that?
Yeah, Joe was on. Yeah.
Hard to believe.
Yeah. I think our posters episode, John was usually on those too. So I think our posters episode was like 12,000, 13,000. Our John 5. What are the things called?
Belt buckles?
No. When we do a collector spotlight, John 5's collector spotlight, I think has 15,000.
Well, the first time he was on.
That first time he was on.
Yeah.
But several of the episodes longer episodes we did on, on specific items and stuff like that are in the, 8, 9, 10, 12,000 views. And the early Kiss My Wax first 4 or 5 records were up in the 10,000 range too. Normally we roll in right around 4,000 or 5,000 views now.
Even with my personality that even a mother can't love.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I get this. I'm just looking at you sitting there like this.
You're not much different.
Amazing television.
Yeah,
You're not much different, Dave. You look like you're about to fall asleep.
I am about to fall asleep.
Dave gets up at 4:58 in the morning, and he's like, "What am I doing on this show?"
This is the morning now.
That's it. Well, let's blast through this thing. So, Carnival of Souls, Jason, you want to kind of give a little preamble on what this thing is? We can talk about it a little bit, and then just quick.
All right, Carnival Souls was recorded by the Revenge era lineup with Eric and Bruce. It got shelved for a period of time because the reunion happened in early '96, and then we saw the release of this record just kind of thrown out there in, was it '97?
I think so. Yes. Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah, sometime in the latter part of the year '97, and it was just kind of a forgotten throwaway record with a cover that's behind Nicholas that was probably never intended to be a cover.
October 28th, 1997.
There you go. There it is.
Woo.
So,
yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Going to the Lost Sessions, right?
The final
session.
Yeah.
So the reason I assumed it was the final sessions was because it was massively bootlegged and out there. So they were trying to say to anyone who'd already, they were worried that all the people who'd already had it, they could actually say these are the final sessions or something. Is that what they were trying to suggest, that we're giving you something that you may not have on the bootleg version?
No, that's not what I've ever thought.
What
that lineup?
Just those guys.
Oh, okay, right. I always took it as the final sessions from that recording studio. Meaning, if you've got the bootleg, this is the definitive version of that. But you mean the final sessions of those people? That's interesting. Okay. That's not how I interpreted it.
I know the one that I reviewed for the fanzine at the time. That was a bootleg CD because Nicholas and I were discussing it, and there was a track missing off it. So maybe
the Bruce one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember getting a bootleg CD of it at an expo, probably in '96 sometime. Probably.
This is the one that had that zipper head art, right? That
Correct.
had the hand coming out of like there was some art banging around for it as well. What's interesting is, had the reunion never happened and this record comes out, it would be so interesting to see what happens to the band at that point.
Right.
This was an inline release. Does this thing tank and kill the band forever? Does it actually do something that, who knows what happens?
Also released in '97, Foo Fighters Color and Shade.
The fuck's that?
Faith No More's King for a Day. Everclear, So Much for the Afterglow. Like,
I guess you would have to look at.
Not a patch on it.
Well, I mean that's when it was released, but you would actually say that you should be mentioning what albums were out in '95 when they were recording it. So because the scene had changed quite a lot since then.
Sure.
Between '95 and '97, that was quite a big difference.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those bands had gone through death, and
Yeah, I mean they bring in Toby Wright, which was an Alice in Chains producer, to try to cop that sound, and in '95 that was relevant. In '97, I don't know if it was.
What I found really funny is because a lot of these the not so much the 80s era, but all those 90s bands grew up as Kiss fans. Like all those was whatever you think of those bands, like people from Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, all that were Kiss fans as kids. And Toby Wright said he was also a Kiss fan. And I remember reading an interview and he was going, he got the Kiss gig and was going, great, I'm going to do like a rock and roll over kind of a sound. And they said, no, we want you to do Alice in Chains. Like Gene literally said that, Smashing Pumpkins, Alice in Chains, that's what we want. And he was kind of going, oh, that's not what, because he didn't want to be pigeonholed as well. This is what he says now anyway, that he wanted to make a rock and roll over record.
But that's only the Alice in Chains thing. The people that nag on that's only bad if you don't like Alice in Chains.
Well, that's not necessarily true. If you're only doing a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of something, then this is what, and that's not what you believe in your heart. You're sort of chasing trends, as Kiss did for a long time. And I know, Jason, you think this is one of the strengths of the band, maybe because of their versatility or whatever. But I sort of feel like it's a failing of the band in some respects, because they chase trends, but they never are authentically doing what's happening at the time. They weren't an authentic disco band. They weren't an authentic grunge band. They when they're truest to themselves is when I think they're the most successful. And like the bounce back after The Elder, they get back to their roots and they create a killer record in Creatures. To me, when they're most authentic and when they're Kiss, that's when they're at their best. To me, a record like this, not to spoil it, but they're trying to copy something, and they're only doing a pale facsimile of what's going on by much younger and more vibrant people who are authentically doing a thing that they believe in. That's actually a reaction to Kiss, and it's actually a reaction to what has come before. And that stuff is all in their DNA, but they're doing a different thing. So Kiss is then going, oh, well, we'll copy that, and it just sounds, like this.
But by this stage in the band's life, the two main members of the band, if they weren't in sync, I think you can hear it in the music. So you can. In the earlier days, it was harder to tell a Paul song and a Gene song because they were both trying to make the same music. And I think that's when you say the inauthentic disco band. Gene wasn't into that. That was Paul. And then when you listen to this album plays to Gene and Eric, maybe. This is not a Paul. This is
Bruce,
not playing.
really. It's Bruce's record, right? I mean,
it's certainly not Paul's.
No, not at all. And it's not. It's as much not Paul's record to me. And I wrote some notes out as we talked about the songs, but it's the perfect bookend for The Elder to me. Paul seems completely out of place on this thing.
Yeah.
He sings in a terrible register in many respects.
Wow. All right, go ahead.
In his low register, Jason, I'll get to it when we cover the songs. I think this might be one of his best studio recordings vocally, when he's doing the Paul Stanley thing, when he's doing that low, like jumble.
What you want me to hear?
It doesn't sound very good. It sounds like he doesn't have that much. It's oddly doesn't sound like he has that much control over it at that point, and in that register. But when he really belts it out, he sounds amazing, and I think it might be the top of his vocal, one of his top vocal performances ever when he lets it rip like Paul Stanley. He just feels so uncomfortable on this record to me. It's just like it
sounds uncomfortable, and to me, I love Creatures of the Night. I love that track. I think it's amazing. I cannot watch Paul dance to Creatures of the Night, which he does when you see him do it live. He shimmies across the stage. I'm like, no, don't fucking shimmy to this. This is the wrong thing. It's like, even when they put the leather trench coats on, Paul's wearing a leather trench coat like a fucking ball gown. It's off his shoulder and it's trailing across the floor. It's like, that's not the look, dude. Like, you've moved on and you're trying to hold on to your bit. And I think that, for me, is where the biggest disconnect is, vocally, Eric should have sang a couple of Paul songs, maybe. Like, it would have had more of a chance of sounding more cohesive.
I just think in general, them doing this style. I mean, they've always chased style since since Dynasty and that. However, now they're getting older too, so that the things they're chasing, the divide between the people doing it authentically and the people not doing it authentically is becoming older. It's kind of like me walking to my kids going, "Hey, Rizz's Skibbity Toilet," and say all these Sigma, that kind of stuff, and they go, "Dad, stop it!" Even if you knew how to use those words,
you're inauthentic.
You're inauthentic because it's not my generation kind of thing. So it does have that feel about it. However, I mean, you should be allowed to play whatever music you want to play. But that's the flip side. But I mean, they should be able to make whatever album they want to make.
Sure.
But it does at times feel, inauthentic, like divorced dad kind of turning up. Yeah.
You know, Jason is cutting all of this out. The last 15 minutes or so, he's said nothing, so he doesn't have to like cut any of his own stuff, and he's just going to be like, "Okay, let's start with that."
So, Jason, what are your thoughts? We've all had our say.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the record?
Oh God. Well, in that vein, I certainly get it. I certainly do understand and see and feel the fact that they're chasing that trend, and that was a little difficult for me when it first came out. But I'd been so used to the band falling in line with what was popular for such a long time. It's funny. The first thing that popped in my head, Joe, was when you were like, they're always best when they go back to their roots and all this stuff. And what you specifically said was after the debacle of the Elder, they came back and did Creatures. Well, I think Creatures was just as a calculated trend chaser as any other record, 79 on. I mean, what was big in 1982? Metal, Priest, Ozzy, Iron Maiden. That's what they were going for, and Creatures is my second favorite record in the catalog. I think it's brilliant top to bottom. I love everything. I could never do a skip or play on it because it's just brilliant from top to bottom. But I don't think they escape the trend chasing with Creatures.
Hence the lead guitarist, like trying out multiple lead guitarists to do the guitar solo take that they wanted. They
find who the flashiest guy was, and that was the flavor of the time period. So and then they're chasing Bon Jovi. But then after that, they're immediately chasing Bon Jovi, and then after that, they're chasing grunge and all of that stuff.
Except for Revenge, which seems like them somehow, even though that's probably slightly calculated too. But
it's just closer to what all that stuff though is closer to what they did.
I agree. It is closer to what.
So Creatures doesn't sound like an Iron Maiden or a Judas Priest record to me. It sounds like an authentic Kiss record because that's who they are essentially.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure. All of that being said, I'm way different than you guys, as everybody knows. I always find the positive in everything that they do. Everything that they do. It's very difficult for me to. I just don't. It's funny, but right before we were recording, Dave asked me, "Did you know every Kiss song?" Because there was a time when Dave checked out of the band. He wasn't into what they were doing. No, there was never a time that I checked out. I know all of these albums like the back of my hand. And I love all of them. All of the songs on them, as cheesy and goofy as some of them may be, I still love them. I play them. I don't skip them ever, with the exception of a couple songs that we've talked about in the past. So it's very difficult for me to even do these things and listen to all of the critique, because to me, I put on Carnival of Souls, and 2 times through, I was in love with the whole record. There were a couple of songs that I was, I could be like, these are my least favorite on the record. And I might skip them from time to time. But generally speaking, especially the first 4 or 5 songs on the record, I fucking love. It's just powerful to me. So
we should change the name of the show to Skip and Play.
Skip and play.
You just play everything. So that's it. Like we may skip some, but not you. You're going to play everything. So
well, off air, he said that everybody was like him, and then he just started his sentence there with, "He's not like us 3." It's like everybody's like Jason Herndon, apart from these 3 guys.
All right. So to explain that, to expound on this, when Dave asked me, "Do I know every Kiss song?" I was perplexed at the fact that there are Kiss songs that Dave doesn't know. That doesn't make any sense to me, because my life is this band and I listen to everything that they do often. And I said I would be I would bet that if we put a poll up in Kiss My Wax, that most fans would be more like me than what Dave is like, which is
I don't want them to be like me. I'm just confused that they're like you.
I think most of the collectors out there know the catalog pretty well.
No, there's like up to 80, 82, and then there's bunches, handfuls, even more, bushels. I do not know.
Gaggles
from the non-makeup era that I will have bought out of loyalty, listened to, realized I couldn't put on a mixtape, and then they just fucking vanished. And that is actually in a segue back to this album, because of what else was happening at the time, because of I was listening to Everclear and Faith No More and Foo Fighters. This album let me put Kiss songs on mixed CDs again, because I just couldn't. There's times there where I was listening to heavier music than they were producing, and I just couldn't put that poppy shit in amongst the music that I was listening to at the time. So this, to me, was like, I'm glad they finally got with it.
Well, see, I can tell, the problem, not problem, but the difference between you and I is in that time period, you were listening obviously to heavier stuff. So I assume you were into Metallica and, thrashier bands, right?
No, that's Nicholas is the Metallica guy. No, I was listening to, Faith No More.
No. In the 80s.
In the 80s, I was listening to all kinds I was listening to dance music. I just gone. I
thought you said you were listening to heavier stuff.
And I was listening when I was listening to, but like not even Metallica was still kind of a bit
because
a bit too
Kiss in the 80s fit right along with everything I was listening to. All of Nicholas's favorite bands.
Almost
it's a Cinderella.
Yes, I mean Kiss fit right in, right, Joe? Because I know Joe listened to quote hair bands, so there was no difference. And Asylum and Crazy Nights fit right in with Poison, Motley Crue.
Oh yeah,
Skid Row, all those bands.
But I remember looking at them. Sorry, you go, Dave.
No, I was going to say, and you'd probably get this. There's a style of Australian rock music then that was evolving, that was coming out of pub rock, that was its own little bubble. And there was a alternative radio station, Triple J, which had broken away from a commercial station, that was just playing different kinds of music. It was playing a lot of Britpop, a lot of it was a very different music scene than what was popular in America.
What's going on here too? It just what percolated to the top was, the hair metal stuff.
This may I don't know if Dave agrees with this, but this may point back to a slight misogyny of Australian culture. But I think I've mentioned this a few times ago. The boys listened to Iron Maiden, AC/DC, and that stuff. And I just always remember that the girls listened to Poison and Bon Jovi and Warrant. They were girls' bands, and you didn't listen to them because you wouldn't tell your friends at school you listened to any of those bands. Motley Crue kind of were both. They were always both because they had the dangerous edge to them, same as Guns N' Roses. But anything like Bon Jovi, and that's because it's that Aussie thing of like, oh, that's girls' music. I'm talking about 80s Aussie, not modern Aussie. And then at the time, I was like, no, we like, Midnight Oil, AC/DC, like the more blokier bands that didn't dress up or wear the hair and stuff like that. I'm not saying that's how it all was, but there was a general feeling in the playground that there were boys' bands and girls' bands. And they were both hard rock, but they were very divided.
Agreed.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, culturally, it just wasn't, at least not where I was, but the guys listened to all of it. It was more like the troubled team was listening to Slayer, Metallica, and the thrash stuff.
Yeah.
But most of guys like me, my friends and everything, we were listening to we listened to Metallica too, but we also listened to Bon Jovi and Motley Crue and Skid Row and Poison and all that stuff. And Kiss fit right in with that, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, clearly, that's what Kiss. That's the trend Kiss was chasing in the 80s, right?
And they were touring America, weren't they?
Right.
Because where I was living, they weren't touring. So if you're not out there and playing, there's a certain point in your life where you just kind of go, I'm not seeing these bands.
Yeah, I mean, like even Kiss, 1980, then 1995. Like, there's no way that nowadays, you know, in the recent years, they tour every year. Like they got the same amount of tours as America did, but it was you know, but like that's like a massive time away from the country.
Sure.
You know, for your fan base to not hear you.
I mean, Kiss starting in '82, you know, Kiss was on tour constantly. Every year. I mean, I think they played Nashville like 4 or 5 years in a row in September. You know, it was like
a new record come out every year.
Every year, yeah.
Yeah, and then they're just and they're touring in the winter. That's just how it was.
Right, and you didn't get a break until like '88, you know, and but they were just always on. And then you looked at all the bands that opened up for them. You know, it was. I mean, there were some which would be more considered heavy metal, but most of them, because you had Queensryche and you know, bands like that were opening up for them. But you know, you also had a slew of hair bands that were opening up. You know, that was the draw. You got the young new hair band that had the, you know, the big ballad hit that brought in a lot of people into a, you know, a middle-aged rock band like Kiss. So, anyway.
The other thing about when it was released, we'd already seen the reunion. So we'd gotten that thing that we all really wanted. Like, we're all too young to see them play the Love Gun stage and sets, and suddenly they're back and they kind of pretty much look like they did, and they've got those outfits on. And so we all bought into regressing. We all bought into retro. So the label brings out this record of a follow-up to in this direction, this other direction they were going in, and we're caught between worlds.
Right. It certainly was weird. And, you know, the one sad thing, the one real sad thing for me that came out of the reunion, as much as I loved it, was instantly in 1996, Kiss became a nostalgia band.
Yeah.
And it was over. You know, at least Revenge, Carnival of Souls, you know, you had a band that was still progressing, you know, moving forward. Whether it was a right step or a wrong step, in anybody's opinion, they were still moving forward. 96, nostalgia. And it's over. You know, they put out a couple of records, hardly ever play anything off of them.
They're just there to tour, basically, after that.
They're just there to tour. Just there to make money on tour. Records mean nothing anymore. You know, so
and it's weird how there are some bands, like The Cure just came out with a record that's been highly regarded, critically acclaimed, and they're still vital after all these years. The new Metallica record, 72 Seasons, critically acclaimed. People loved that record. Metallica fans were like, wow, this band is back and this is amazing. And it's weird how some bands are able in some respects to reclaim it and still stay vibrant, and other bands are just like, we're good kind of being what we are, you know. And even though
you wouldn't say they reinvented themselves, though. They just gave you a quality version of themselves. Like The Cure didn't reinvent themselves, or Metallica didn't give you something new. They gave you, you know, the best of them that you remember and love, kind of thing.
But I think to Joe's point, you know, in '98, Kiss could have literally come out with Destroyer 2 or whatever, you know, like really for real, and I still don't think it would have been successful.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I mean, it's hard to know, I guess. Well, let's jump into the songs. Yeah.
First track is
Hate.
Hate. There's Joe's opinion.
It's funny, in listening, I had told the guys before, it's been a long time since I listened to this record, and we talked about doing this a couple of weeks ago before Thanksgiving. So I gave it a fresh listen. And then I listened to it again today just to kind of refresh myself. And Hate is Them Bones. It's incredible. It's Them Bones. It's unbelievable. It never landed for me that way until today. I'm like, oh, that's that song. It's the same thing.
It never landed to me.
Yeah. Go back and listen to it now. And I went back in and listened to Them Bones. I mean, obviously we know those songs, both of those songs very well. I was like, wow, that's the same song. So it just like, its first out of the gate big reason for being is we're gonna copy Alice in Chains, literally.
Interesting. All right. So what are you? Skip or play?
Yeah, skip.
God damn.
Although I'll say it's one of the better Gene songs on the record.
Okay.
Yeah, skip.
Nicholas.
For me, it's a play. This is kind of the unholy of the record, and in some ways, yeah, it does rip off Alice in Chains totally. But you'll hear me say that about most. I can find Alice in Chains in almost every one of these songs, but
Sure.
Because I was a huge fan of Facelift and Dirt and Jar of Flies and Sap at the time, but like Eric Singer, like comes out of the gate, you know, like his drumming is sensational on this one. It's a powerful Gene song. I always skim through the lyrics, and there's some lyrics in this that not repeat themselves literally, but the theme, it's almost a bit of a concept record. They keep repeating themselves, like all you martyrs and saviors go through the same door. There's a lot of, you know, like going back to the 82 when they were harassed by the picketing Christians outside. He's got there's a lot of lyrics on this, even in one of the Paul songs, and we'll tackle that later, mentioning the whole "don't tell me what to do" kind of vibe from the religious people. I did laugh at
some revenge also, right? Thou shalt not.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got that theme of, you know, don't preach to me kind of feel about it. I did laugh at "Listen, all you butchers, saints and sinners," and all the people who work in a butcher store. Going, what the fuck did I do? But it might mean something else.
It's funny because one of my ideas for this show is to do some dramatic readings of these ridiculous lyrics, but it just taking too long. But they're hilarious. I mean, cardboard boxes filled with hate and
all that stuff.
You know, nests of termites glowing red. It's like, oh my gosh, you don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know what to say here. So you're just making stuff. It's hilarious.
So before I finish on my point, so it is a play. I do like this one, and this one, if I had to put a song from every album, this one would go on a best of kind of thing for me. But I will say that listening to Eric on this, I kind of wish I know it was a decision of his to sort of go more in the other direction, but I really loved his playing around this time and loved his playing on stuff like Watching You, and, you know, like I love the way he reinterpreted it for his style, and he was on fire on this one. I do have this theory that Kiss ruins drummers simply by having to toe the line, and if you go Peter Criss, you know, the wild man, you feel like it's going to fall apart any second, but he was like, you watch Winterland, amazing drummer, but you get to 1979 and it's like, oh, he's not playing that same way anymore. Even Eric Carr comes out of the gate with Creatures of the Night, and then by the end you go, they're replacing him with drum machines on Hot in the Shade on some of the tracks, and you don't even notice. You don't even know which ones. You kind of go, is this Eric Carr? Is this a drum machine? He's not playing what he used to. Eric Singer, same deal. Like, you know, I heard those re-records. I go, wow, there's no life in them. From this guy who is arguably the best drummer ever to play for Kiss, he's got no feel and he plods along round about 2008, 2009. Even in concert, a little bit boring by the end, I would say. Yeah. But listen to him here, and it was like it's coming straight off the back of he played drums for Sabbath, or Tony Iommi was forced to call it Sabbath, on Seventh Star with Glenn Hughes singing. And yeah, Eric's drumming on that is just as good as Revenge and Carnival Soul. So this is a big 10 out of 10 for Eric on this track anyway.
It was on the back of that. You know, I don't know if you remember them. He did a drum clinic, and Bruce did a guitar clinic in Australia at the time. And there's a version of the video that came out at that time with his drum clinic. showed him playing Parasite. So it's a multi-camera thing of him playing Parasite, and he's got the double bass going, and it is fucking incredible. Like, it is fantastic.
Those South American shows that they played with the Revenge lineup were absolutely they were on fire during those shows. It was unbelievable.
They were on fire the whole Revenge tour.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and but I think the drum sound here is awful on the whole record. I think the drum sound is like
a mix. That's a mixed decision. Yeah,
it's soupy, and it like sounds like there's no snap to any of it. There's no power to any of it. It's especially like on the next song. Yeah, it's crazy. Go ahead, Dave. What do you think on this one?
So this one is a play. I actually don't like Unholy. I'm the one guy that doesn't really like Revenge at all. But I like the cover. I like the look. Thought they had that down, but they were still doing too much kind of cock rock for me, and it was just
because they never did that in the 70s.
Yeah, no, I don't get that.
But in the 70s,
it's different in the 70s. Cock rock in the 70s.
I liked it all.
Cock rock in the 80s.
I was kidding. I liked it all, and I was just like, it didn't fit with me, and I liked
hand in my pocket, grab onto my rock.
Yeah, when you're a little kid, that rhymes. That's great. Like duck and fuck, they rhyme. Good words. This lyrically, I know lyrically, all these are a little bit lazy, but it sounded a little bit more grown up than Unholy for me, so I prefer it to that. And I like this because it was a Gene song, but it sounded like it probably had balls. So I was pleased with this.
See, this to me sounds like a pale imitation of Unholy. Like, we had some success with Revenge, so we're going to put this song on first because we had some, success with that formula before. So let's do that again.
I think that's a production choice. This song sounds reminiscent of Unholy. Let's put it at the front. It could have gone anywhere on the record.
Yeah, I think that's.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, like while you're recording it, it doesn't necessarily be the opening, but yes, they certainly were trying to go for that same thing, weren't they?
Yeah. So play.
Does anybody want to guess mine?
Play.
Yeah. Next,
Rain.
I was still guessing.
To be fair, I'm going to try to force myself to skip.
I can help you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I can. Yeah, I'll help you too. So track 2, Rain.
No. I wrote play on this. I clearly was a fan of this.
Oh, but nice. Joe's favorite, clearly. But I think it's one of Paul's best vocals almost ever on any record. I think it's fucking amazing.
Not the beginning, but the verses are stratospheric and through the roof. They're fantastic. They sound so incongruous between each other. I mean, it's like they're two different songs. When he gets into that powerful section, it's incredible. It's as good as he ever sounded. The other parts of it, it's like they should have redone all of it and figured out another way to get at it.
I've similar notes that it's forced in places, and it feels like it's caught between two stools. It's not this song and it's not this song.
Kind of like this podcast.
And this podcast's been a fucking write-off from the start. There's no saving this.
Forced in all places.
You can't just save half of this. But that song, I think, I liked part of his singing. And I still can listen to this, and it's one of my preferred ones. But it's not. Maybe the producer wasn't strong enough to say this song is not complete yet, because it's not.
So, but you're a play.
I'm a play. I gave that 2 plays.
2 very enthusiastic thumbs up.
Play.
Kinda. Yeah, I love it. Play. This song isn't finished.
It's not finished, but we're talking about the album. Are we talking about the album on its own, or are we doing it in comparison with every other track they've ever recorded? Because then it's going to struggle. But if it's on its own, I'll play this. There are tracks on this record that I skip. Coming up.
All right.
Also, the lyric, tell me what you want me to be. I can't stand myself anymore. Tell me what you want me to see. I can't find my way off the floor. It's so un-Paul Stanley. It's just unbelievable. Like it's like he's following a playbook that was set out by somebody else. Obviously, Gene and
need to write negative, basically, is what.
Like. and dreary and drudgery and I hate my life and it's kind of when they look back at it, they go, that's not who we were. They realize it now, but for some reason they found themselves in the studio writing these lyrics that don't make any sense.
Then they come back for Psycho Circus and Sonic Boom and write all the most fucking trite fist in the air bullshit I've ever heard.
Yeah. Raise your glass. I mean, the guy who says raise your glasses, I can't find my way off the floor. It's just, it makes no sense.
They're damned if they do, damned if they don't. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a skip for you, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Joe.
Yeah.
Are there any plays on the record?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I want to know.
Yes.
All right. Nicholas.
This is a skip for me, but only because of those lyrics. I felt like if the lyrics weren't there was a running theme through a lot of those grunge bands. So like a lot of those guys actually did kill themselves, and we're massively addicted to heroin. I'm not saying it's all authentic, because obviously those bands still get advances from the record company and made a lot of money in that, but they felt at least what some of the pain that possibly Kurt went through and some of the pain that Lane went through and others went through later at least felt real. But this feels like this is the most un-Paul Stanley thing I've ever heard. But I mean, obviously that riff sounds a little Man in the Boxy kind of as well. I felt that dun 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 dun. Maybe it's not Man in the Box. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But it has there's something about it which sounds like something else which I've heard, but I can't picture at the moment because I'm only thinking of the Kiss one. But yeah, it's only a skip for the lyrics because I think that was a poor choice. Other than that, it would have got to play if it didn't have to be positive stripper songs, but it could have just been, it just didn't feel real to me. So yeah.
Why do they have to write only the way that they feel? That's like saying you couldn't write a song for somebody else, or that a male writer couldn't write a book in the first person, with a female protagonist.
Yeah, but I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm saying I don't like it coming from him personally.
Interesting.
But for 25 years, Paul Stanley has taken a different tack in all of his writing. So then this feels inauthentic. Yes, you can write from another character's point of view. You can do a lot of different things as a writer, songwriter, poet, whatever it is. But when you're trying to do something because somebody else is doing it, that's when it doesn't sound real. Of course, they're allowed to do whatever they want, but it's just, it doesn't feel like these guys at that point.
Especially if they're in the middle of the reunion.
What's that?
Especially at the time when they're in the middle of the reunion, which is all positive and stuff. I don't know.
Well, the reunion was them coming out and saying, this is what rock and roll should be about, not all that other negative stuff. Yeah. And then they knew that, knowing that there was an album recorded, which was really dark, and them saying all of that negative stuff.
But didn't Gene also say that on that Extreme Close-Up? He goes, life isn't bad, life is good.
Life is good.
I remember saying that, and then literally they're probably in the throes of writing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I get that. I totally get that. But I don't know. I guess lyrically, I just don't listen to Kiss for lyrics of any era. So if something comes along that just isn't quite Paul Stanley, I'm not going to write off a song just because, lyrically it doesn't seem like something Paul should write, because guys, we're talking about Kiss.
Can we have two polls? One of them is everybody like Jason Herndon, yes, no. And then another one, which is, does anybody listen to Kiss lyrics?
Right.
No, because I think I think I've discovered the problem here, Jason.
Well, I think
there's a lot more problems to discover. Stay tuned.
Yeah, Joe's been on the end of those
discussions. Yeah,
psychological discussions many times. So, no, I think most people are going to agree with you guys on this record for sure. Absolutely, for sure. No different than the Elder and all of that stuff. I just don't. The theme is always the same. Well, I don't like this because the lyrics are goofy. Well, the lyrics in every fucking Kiss song almost are goofy.
But somehow most of them work, or in a lot of ways they work. Here it's just like, come on, man, this ain't you at all. All right, Master and Slave.
Oof. This is the best thing that they've recorded since Creatures. It's fucking brilliant. It's criminal that it never got played live.
Wow.
I think that scream in the middle of it is fantastic. But I'm gonna fucking die on that hill. I think it's.
I hope so.
It is. I think it's the song for me. This is one of the reasons why I think this is the best non-makeup album, is because of the strength of this song. I think it's fucking great. It does all the things that they do well. It felt right for them in this era for me.
So is that a skip?
Come back to me. Go around and then come back to me.
So my note on this thing was
nope.
It was Master and Slave doing sex type thing, doing War Machine, because it's the same riff. If you go, it's the same exact thing, and it's like you guys are copying a copy of yourselves from back in the day. I wrote again here that it was just a horrible register for the beginning for Paul. A lot like The Elder, another record you love, Dave. He just does not fit into this this register of music. It's like he doesn't have any vocal control. But when he hits that middle section and hits the chorus, it's bombastic, and it's I said some of Paul's best vocals ever. So yeah, that's how I feel. Skip.
Interesting.
Wow. I'm completely diametrically opposed to Dave. This is the absolute worst song on the record. I can't stand it. Like it steals every single thing from everything that was going. That we go, we'll do the Pixies quiet, loud thing. Wait, we'll do the bass line can go through the verse while the guitar's just playing little parts. The things cut back before it comes in, and then you get that middle bit that goes where the acoustic guitar goes blang, 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 blang. That's just like Alice in Chains. That is the exact same. I don't know what the chords are. It's just like everything about this is totally ripped off. My only comment was I couldn't work out who sung the last verse. Somebody else sings at the end there. Is that Bruce that sings?
No, it's all Paul.
Is it all Paul? Because Paul, if you listen to, we can listen. I'm not going to listen to it now. There's the very last time it's sung, either sounds like it was sung at a totally different time by I thought, is that Bruce? But I did also think
you're talking about the tell me what else at the very.
Wait, tell me that the bottom line.
I think
tell me.
I think that's
who
Paul.
Is that? Is that Bruce?
No, I think it's Paul and Gene singing in a monotone register.
Right, yeah, because it sounded it just sounded totally different to the way the vocals were going. Suddenly I went, oh, what's that? Like I couldn't actually tell what it was.
Because they're trying to harmonize those vocals like Alice in Chains.
But yeah, right. I think that's what it was. I couldn't work out who it was. Anyway, that's skippity toilet.
Nicholas thinks it's one of the worst songs ever put on the tape. Dave thinks it's
of this album, not ever put on.
Do you think it's the worst song on this album, and you have listened to "I Will Be There"? Yeah,
that's my favorite. No, just kidding. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
And Dave thinks it's the best thing since
the best
Creature.
Song they've recorded.
Joe is kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Part of it's good, most of it's bad.
Yeah.
Who do I agree with?
You're a play. You agree with Dave Scott. You love this thing from top to bottom.
I love it from top to bottom. I don't know if I would quite praise it like Dave did. I'd have to think about that really hard, because between Creatures and Carnival Souls was Lick It Up and Revenge. I don't know. That's tough. It's definitely a play for me. I love it. I don't care about the ripoff aspect of the thing. If that was the case,
it's the stuff that hit me when I was listening back to it.
Sure.
I was like, oh, I never put those things together until now.
Yeah. I mean, but no, it's a play for me. Like I said at the very beginning, the first 3 songs on this record to me I love.
So then we get to Childhood's End, Jason.
Yeah. If I'm gonna skip any song on the record, hold on. This would probably be one of the 2 or 3. And that's not to say that I hate the song. I like it okay. I don't know. There's something about that chorus that's very pedestrian. You were always my friend from childhood. That just sounds kind of pedestrian to me. But
it sounds a little bit like Gene doing a grungy Beatles kind of
yes,
thing. He's got his Beatles thing is like kind of trying to it almost sounds like a hotter than hell kind of thing, but all with the beat, it's all a mishmash of
I wrote down grunge version of We Are One. That's
okay.
Because it kind of has that same kind of the sing-songiness about it, but
yeah.
That chorus is awful though, isn't it? Like, it's unnecessary. Like, they'd run out of ideas at that point and gone, well, Bob Ezrin would get some kids in to sing.
Yeah, I actually quite enjoy the verses of the song. The chorus kills the song for me, and so if I'm going to skip one, and I have skipped that song several times, listening to the record from front to back, this would be one that I would skip.
For me, this is another one of those where I think that there's 2 or 3 songs here competing to be one song, and again, a stronger producer should have said, either feature it or fuck it with parts of these instead of letting things compete. So I think for me, it's a reluctant play. Like, I'd play it because I'd play probably half of these songs, but there's just pieces that just don't fit.
Okay. All right. So you're...
I'm a play. Let's say play.
All right. Joe, skip.
Yeah, this one should have been binned. It shouldn't have even been on the record.
Interesting. Nicholas, skip, right?
I think skip. Yeah, I mean, it did feel a bit Bob Ezrin idea-y to bring in those kids. The lyrics, again, the suicide-y kind of Sunday morning in the New York Times. I read you died last night. It said you were smiling when you blew your mind, and the note you left behind. It's kind of, again, it's I don't know. I mean, almost Gene can sort of kind of half get away with it because he always has the slightly darker lyrics, but yeah. I mean, I guess skip. Yeah, skip. I just don't want to be all skip, but skip.
You're not all skip. You were.
I like hate. Right? Yeah, unhate. Yeah.
Hate. Yeah. All right.
So speaking of things that should be in the bin, what's track number 5, Joe?
I Will Be There. I don't love it, but I think it's the closest to Paul being true to himself on the record, and true to it's kind of like it's a little bit more, I don't know, optimistic, I guess, in a way. His vocals on it are outstanding, but I mean, I could take it or leave it. I'll
You have to take it or leave it. That's the whole point of the show.
Yeah, I'll take it and leave it.
No.
I will say, how about a grudging play, I guess?
Oh, for fuck's sake. It's like I don't fucking know you. This is a pile of shit. This is as bad as Forever, if not fucking worse.
Well, Forever's. I mean,
an awful song. Forever is
fucking crazy.
I love Forever.
No, you're all wrong. You're all fucking wrong. This is a stupid podcast. Good night.
This reminds me of I Still Love You in a lot of ways. Like it has that same kind of vibe to it.
How dare you?
And how do you like I Still Love You and not Forever?
I Still Love You is a good song. Forever's awful. Forever's a fucking heart song.
God, I don't understand any of you. So, all right, so Dave fucking hates it.
Absolutely hates it. It's got no place on this album. When you look at that dark theme that's running through this album, putting this kind of poppy shit in the middle of it, it clearly doesn't fit, and it makes it even more derivative. It's like
tuned down to where the strings are nearly buzzing, and it's in this open tuning that's fucking brilliant. And it's not Forever. It's a different kind of ballad. It's worse. It's
a fucking ballad.
Here's the thing, Dave. I won't necessarily fight you on it. I mean, if they threw this away, I wouldn't care either. So it's not like I'm.
We can still be friends.
Yeah, I'm not fighting you on this song. I'm just saying, man, if you're gonna make me play something on this record, this might be one of them.
I'm never gonna make you play something on this record, man.
Thank you.
Oh God,
Nicholas.
Probably like a lot of these tracks, they all seem to start off sounding like some grunge song, but then they, by the time they sort of get to around about the chorus, they sort of become something else. Like when I first heard this one, like this is the one where I went, "I'll get fucked," because it was just Jar of Flies, Sap. It's the sound of those guitars, just when it starts, the sound of the acoustic guitars when they first come in at the very start of the song.
God forbid, just use a fucking acoustic guitar.
No, but it's definitely by Toby Wright, played in a certain way on a certain style, and it might be possibly it's an acoustic bass playing that. It just sounds like but and I'm not saying that's a bad thing because this one is a play for me. The only thing is when that lead guitar part comes in, I just think he's going to sing like, "And I'm a cowboy on a steel horse, I ride." It just sounds like Wanted Dead because it's a bit cowboy. Yeah. It sounds like Dead or Alive basically in the chorus. But then it goes from We Want to Be Alice in Chains at their very before they start singing is Alice in Chains, and then it turns into Bon Jovi in the middle. But I don't know. It's oddly, for all those things I mentioned, copying bands I do like, and also copying bands I don't like. Strangely, this one gets a play, so go figure.
This whole record to me feels like the human being that's been buried alive that is Kiss, and the hand keeps trying to crawl out of the grave and go, "Oh my God, fresh air!" And somebody comes and smashes it on the head again, and it goes back down for the next 3 or 4 minutes of a song, and then you get a glimpse of Kiss in there, and you're like, "Oh, here it comes!" And we just keep killing it over and over and over again. And that to me is this song, because again, in the beginning of this, I feel like Paul's singing way too low in a register he's having a rough time with. But then when he gets into the chorus, it's fantastic, and he's killing it. So, yeah.
Interesting. You know what else is interesting to me? I look back at all the Skipper plays we did, and I think we've done Skipper plays on only albums that seem to come up in the bottom of the favorites list. So every fucking Skipper play we've ever done is you guys are like, "Fuck this band, I hate everything they've ever recorded."
Yeah.
I don't know. Didn't we do Dress to Kill? Didn't we do Dress to Kill? And I took a little bit of a beating for not liking some of those songs.
I can't remember if we did Dress to Kill. That'd be the only one because it's
because it's like Peter Criss's solo album, The Elder, Carnival of Souls.
Yeah,
I'm happy to go back and beat up those other records if you want. We can do that anytime.
Yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait to get you on, Destroyer and the first album, and this should be wonderful. Creatures of the Night. So, all right. So we got play, kill yourself, and kind of play. So
yeah,
not kill myself. Fucking kill the motherfuckers that recorded it.
I'm not responsible for it, Dad.
Yeah, fuck that.
All right, Jungle.
Too many tracks on this album anyway, so that's
12
one for the bin.
Jungle.
Let's move this along. We're halfway through Jungle. I will give it a grudging play. It's another one of these that it's a good song. It's fine, but again, Paul starts in this weird register again, and it's just way too low. And then he kind of breaks out, and his vocals are amazing. It's like a theme on this record, for me anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I've never thought about. I recognize that he sang a lot of these songs in the verses in a lower register, but I never came across to me as uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that they all come across as uncomfortable to your ear.
As uncomfortable as a lot of now, Dave, hold on to something. As uncomfortable as that horrible falsetto in the Elder stuff. It's just fucking laughable. Like this sounds like it's the perfect bookend for the Elder. Like it's big of a misstep.
It's like just a boy. I am just a boy. To this, and it's like don't go there, don't go there. I go there, I'll go there.
I don't think I registered that it was the register. I've written this, and that's another one of my notes that like it's a begrudging play, but it's another one where Paul's voice isn't right for this. Like, let Eric Carr sing.
Eric who?
What's that?
Eric who?
Don't let Eric Carr sing in 1995.
Wouldn't want to hear him sing at this point.
Yeah.
Not really.
He's reaching up from the grave, as you said earlier.
Wow.
Sorry. Edit that bit out.
We can cut that. I also think this shouldn't have been the single. That was another thing that said the record company did not care about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did a shitty cover. The name was an afterthought, and we'll just go out with this as the single.
I think the band is just as responsible as the label is, because they could have said, no, we're not using that cover. They just weren't putting any effort into it. I think the label was like, we've got to put this out, and they're like, we don't give a fuck.
Why did they have to put it out? What was it, an obligation? Was it like the last of what
the label had spent money, and Kiss wasn't putting out new material at that point in time, and I'm sure they wanted to recoup some of that money and thought, this is my total speculation, but this was my thought process, that they were like, hey, 97, the biggest tour in the US, we've got this record in the can, we can recoup this money that we've spent on it. And of course it didn't happen, because that big tour didn't translate into sales.
Yeah,
not even when they put out a makeup record, it didn't translate into sales.
Did it not? So it was an incredible.
Psycho Circus went gold,
but it was a successful tour financially.
I don't know how much money they spent on it.
Huh.
But I mean, gold. I mean, it scraped to gold. So I remember out of the gate, it sold 100 and something thousand, and then it was like 250, 275,000 for a long, long time, and then it finally, got to gold.
Yeah, I mean, Kiss are out there schlepping and selling 1977, so anything new released is not 1977, and that's just that was selling the dream of your childhood.
That was my whole point.
You compared. Yeah.
Speaking of killing dreams.
All right, no, hold on. So you two are
skips. No, I'm a reluctant play.
Yeah, both of you are grudgingly playing it, right?
Yeah.
This one's a play as well. That whole end part where it just goes on and on feels very of the time, but I feel like I'm going to say the same thing all the time. I listen to that end bit and go, I can't pick exactly what this is, but I know it's something. Is it Soundgarden? Is it Pearl Jam? Is it, I don't know.
Yes.
I'm trying. It's one of those kind of yes, exactly. Yes is the answer, because it's all mixed together. But it just goes on and on, that end bit, and that bass line, and possibly the bass line in the one we mentioned before, Master and Slave. I almost think, and he could have already said that, but they almost sound like they could be played by Bruce Kulick.
They are played by Bruce.
Yeah, so they're not even played by Gene.
No, most of the bass on the album was played by Bruce.
Okay, yeah. It sounds like it. It sounds different. It sounds more technical.
Yeah, Gene can. Yeah, that's a very moving. Gene would never play anything like that, especially through that. I mean, that's a long time to play that moving bass line through that.
Yeah, exactly.
6.5 minute song,
Yeah, exactly.
So, no, yeah, it's all Bruce.
There's
probably a play.
There's a great Soundgarden song called "Hands All Over" that it kind of reminds me of, in a kind of way, like the end of it for sure. Like it has that kind of almost like serpentine kind of thing to it. That's kind of interesting. But
gotcha. Well, it's most definitely a play for me. I think it's one of the stronger songs on the record. So, I have nothing to add.
All right. So where are we now?
In my head. In my head. You don't want to be in my head, but no.
Joe's obnoxious. That one song.
This one's funny because it comes out of the gate, like the bass and the guitar, like the bass and drum thing right out of the gate sounds amazing. And then the lyrics and the vocal and the whole thing just goes right off the cliff. It's awful. I would skip it.
Awful. I would skip it. All right.
Yeah.
Dave.
Skip it. This is Gene Simmons being a tourist, is what I wrote. Lyrically, it's pathetic. It's dross. He wasn't even fucking trying. He was just pretending. So yeah, instant skip.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess skip. Again, the line that stands out for me is like, Alice in Chains. What did they have? I think they had a jar of flies. What can we have? Well, a nest of termites. It's kind of like such an obvious photocopy that it's embarrassing.
Or it's like, I don't know, nest of termites, a cardboard box of cake, and they're like all of it. Put it all in there.
Exactly. I am the man in the cardboard box.
You've got Gene not even ending sentences. Try to find peace of mind and you'll find. Yeah. And it doesn't even go, like, he doesn't even tell you what you're finding. It's hilarious.
Okay, so let me put this to you. When you think about the lyrical structure of, say, Nirvana songs, especially the stuff that was on Nevermind, where lyrics were nonsensical, it's like, to me, I can't paint an abstract painting. I can copy an abstract painting, but I can't paint in an abstract style. I have to paint quite literally.
So you're the Gene Simmons of painting.
This record, lyrically, for me, was people that write in a particular style, trying to write in this kind of weird jazz format where things don't naturally rhyme or make sense. And they just couldn't fucking help themselves sometimes. And that's why it's caught between two worlds, because they are naturally an artist of a particular style and they're trying to break it or mimic something else. And that's where it comes over as being ingenuous. It's because you can see why they can't do it. Like the Nirvana stuff doesn't make sense lyrically at all. But then none of it is trying to. But the Kiss stuff is trying to. So I think that for me is where we struggle and we go, this doesn't make sense because it's doing it. It's like, yeah, but they're different types of poets.
Because it's ingenuous. Whereas put your hand in my pocket, grab into my rocket is at its very core Kiss. That is who they are. So even though that's ridiculous in its own way, it's genuine to them. This feels disingenuous.
Yeah.
So when you guys first listened, and like, I assume you're not I don't know, maybe you are, but I mean, are you absorbing lyrically the first time around in each of these songs, going, that's ridiculous, who wrote that, this is garbage? Or are you just listening to the melody and the music and
the first time I think I hear the music, and that means that's everything. And then if I like it, I want to sing along with it. And that's when you kind of go, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And there's too much. What the fuck is this? Like that's not quite gelling. And
See,
stylistically,
it always fascinates me because I listen to music differently. I guess definitely from you three guys, but I guess from a lot of people because, you know, if something comes on and I like it, the way it sounds, the melody of the song, you know, the music, the structure of the verse, chorus, all of that kind of stuff, you know, ripping guitar solo, whatever it is, you know, the very last thing on the list of concerns to me is what the hell the song is about. I just don't care. I just really don't care. And in every one of your, when we're talking about these songs, the main critique is lyrics. That these songs are ridiculous because the lyrics are terrible. I know, Joe, you were like, you know, Paul's Register in some of these songs. I don't like the way he's singing there, but generally speaking, everyone circles back around about, I mean, Dave, you just said about this song. This song's terrible. It makes no sense. The lyrics are stupid, you know.
But not in isolation, only because all of a sudden they're aping something that you already know about.
But that's what I asked you. When you first heard these songs, were you listening to the lyrics going, man, these are stupid lyrics and it sounds like Alice in Chains? Is that your first impression of it?
Some of them. It wouldn't be a whole song. It'd be one line where I go, oh, that's a bit of a stinker, you know, that kind of way. Well, that doesn't sound right for them.
What I do know is we weren't all comparing notes before this, but we're coming in with similar types of notes.
No, I get it.
And all four of us would listen to "Come On and Love Me," and like.
I don't think Joe would.
This is fine. Yeah, Joe would skip it because he's a fucking Philistine. But like that type of music was working for them at the time. We can hear where this is being fake.
For me it's the song isn't great, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then the lyrics, and then so I don't go into it going the lyrics are ridiculous. I'm out because I listen to I Just Wanna and Come On and Love Me, and you know these other songs that just they're ridiculous, but they're ridiculous like almost on purpose for, you know, like they're tongue in cheek and they're, you know, that cock rock we're all talking about, and it's just like. When this thing comes around, you're just like, oh my gosh, you guys, the music is inauthentic, the lyrics are laughable, like it's the whole thing. It's like and then.
I mean, going back to Come On and Love Me, like really, if you actually are, you know, comparing it to great lyricists, like she's a romancer, dancer, Capricorn, she's a Cancer. Technically, that is one of the stupidest lyrics, but there's something about that song which is great. It bounces along, it's catchy, and I think because the song's quality and the band, it feels like these cartoon characters are meant to sing these cartoon lyrics.
Yeah. These
cartoon characters aren't meant to sing something that people 20 years younger than do authentically.
This is how I feel. I think you guys and people that have the same opinions to you, for the most part, listen to Carnival of Souls as a 40-year-old or however old you were when it came out, as opposed to being a 10 or 12-year-old. And I think if maybe you were 10 or 12 years old when Carnival of Souls come out, you might have a different opinion about it. Which is fine. But to me, I go into all music, not just Kiss. I just listen. If the music, like when Hate comes on, I'm like, motherfucker, listen to that, listen to that, listen to the drums, and listen to fucking Gene. I mean, that's Demon Gene. That's what I hear. I don't give a fuck what they're singing about. I don't care how stupid it is, and I don't care that it sounds like Them Bones or whatever the case. I just think it fucking sounds badass, and I continue to like the song. I don't even as I learn the lyrics, and and if it's ridiculous or not,
You don't like grunge music,
huh?
You don't like grunge music. Whenever Nicholas defends,
I've never said I don't like grunge music. I said I don't like Nirvana.
Yeah, so when Nicholas talks about Nirvana, you
I despise Nirvana.
And what did you think? So what did you feel about Alice in Chains?
I don't think Alice in Chains is a grunge band, but I love Alice in Chains.
I think this whole thing comes back to Jason. Where do the Down Boys go?
That's right.
That's what
exactly
I want to know. Where do they go?
Yeah.
That's the question on everybody's mind.
Right.
Why are the boys always going down? Like it's
So, where were we? In my head, it never goes away. God, it never does on this record, does it?
There we go. I was just waiting for you to say that. Never goes away. If ever there was a title waiting for us to do a skip or play on.
Yeah, it's just a skip. Yeah, it's the same thing for me as the rest of it. I mean, yeah, want it, you can have it. Come and take it. I don't need it. Power and possessions, never quiet in your obsessions. Outside, they search for something. Yeah. But again, when he gets to the chorus and he starts killing it vocally, it's amazing. But it's that plodding, never-ending, get to the point part of the song. You're just like, oh, this is just drudgery.
He's saying it never goes away.
I wrote down the word plodding is on my notes. We haven't compared notes, Jason. This is just like I've written down Eric should have sung it. Like we're both saying we don't think Paul's range is right for this, even though I'm not expressing it the same way as Joe. And we both said it's plodding. It's fucking boring. Like
because both of you say it doesn't make it right.
I think you'll find most people are like us. You could do a poll.
I said that already. I do agree that most people will probably side with you three on this record. I agree. But
I think it's trying to be something it's not. I'm a skip.
I don't care. so was I Was Made for Loving You. It was trying to be something that was not, whatever.
Skip playing. I don't care. I remove I Was Made from Loving You for every Spotify playlist that there is with Kiss on it. I just removed that track. It's not on my dynasty.
It's awful.
It's
I Was Made for Loving You is awful.
Yeah,
I love that song.
Oh my God.
Disco Kiss is my favorite Kiss. So
oh my God!
I love the album.
God, I don't know
but
why
I delete that track.
Guys.
That track is not on any playlist that I own.
Wow,
Nicholas.
Yeah, what did I write down? Just that again, lyrically, this one he's bringing back those same themes. While we pray for salvation, preacher zeal to temptation. It's like is this meant to be a concept album on this thing, or is this just lazy where that's what he goes back to all the time? I did humorously write "It Never Goes Away" sounds like an ode to genital herpes, but that's probably got nothing to do with the song. But yeah. Skip, I guess. Yeah, didn't stand out for me. And it's one of those ones where it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones where it doesn't stand out in any way. So it's sometimes you say it's not skip because I hate this and feel passionate. It's skip because I'm bored of it. Kind of thing.
Jason's shaking his head like he's going to tell us this was a consideration to be played at his wedding.
Yes, that's correct. Actually, it was played at my wedding on the beach. We pull out, It Never Goes Away in the loudspeaker. In the Virgin Islands.
Please let that be true.
Nothing I can do. There's nothing I can say.
He never goes away.
He never goes away. But it's a play for me.
What does people deep in trouble let their money run for double mean?
Don't know. Don't care.
Is it gamble?
Good.
Where the fucking Down Boys go? I don't give a shit. Sounded good.
But wherever they're going, I want to go there.
I want to go where the Down Boys go.
Yeah.
And you'd pay.
Play for you.
Yeah. Seduction of the Innocent. I bet all you motherfuckers are going to say play.
I'm going to say play, and I'm going to say when they play around with something like this has got that.
You're gonna get
it. Nicholas is doing the same thing I was. I'm like,
I had to remember. This now I remember it. Yeah.
Sort of fake middle
for that, Nicholas. Skip.
thing going on with it.
Yeah.
And I actually think that's fun. I think they're playing with something here. I think it's one of the few interesting songs that's on here. And I think again, we talk about lyric. I think this should have been played live. I think it was cool. I think Gene is actually having fun on it, and it works for me. So it's a play.
Oh boy!
This and that other one that you fucking hate, they're my favorite two on the record.
If this one would have been played live, you might as well have just butted it right up with the drum solo to give people an extra long break. Because this motherfucker is 5 minutes and 17 seconds of drudgery. People would have turned the lighters on themselves. This thing. Yeah, this thing is fucking terrible. And Gene comes out of the gate, Jason, and again, it's not about the lyrics, but he always wears his Bible belt. Does he not know what the Bible belt is? He always wears his Bible belt. What are you talking about, Gene? The Bible belt is the South, you dummy.
I'm picturing Batman's utility belt, like with Bibles all around.
It's got a little door on it with a little tiny Bible in it. Like, what are you talking about?
So these two think it's lyrically ridiculous, but you play the song, Dave, and you are also this is not this song, but other songs are. I'm not playing this because the lyrics are ridiculous. So why don't you think this one's ridiculous?
I like the sound of the song.
Okay, so all right, see, that's where I come from.
Yeah,
this song. If I'm going to skip one, this would be another one that I would skip, and it's very similar to the reason for the other Gene song that I skipped is I enjoy the verses of this song, and I think the chorus is terrible. But I don't hear lyrics, so. But I would skip this one if I had to skip one.
I'm still laughing about Nicholas playing it because I could not for the life. I could not have. I
didn't say play. I haven't said yet.
No. When you played it out loud,
right.
I was like, "Oh, that's it." I had no idea what the song was.
I think I was looking down at my notes and I was going. It sounds again. It sounds like the verse sounds like something else that sonically that I've heard before, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But I think the reason why I had to remind myself is the title is just, Gene has those notebooks and writes down almost like like bad 50s pulp fiction, like, the street giveth and the street giveth and not for the innocent. And it's always got that kind of like 40s detective kind of thing, and seduction of the innocent just sounds like it's just generic Gene title that he's got in his book. I'll write a song one day called Seduction of the Innocent. I've got this title, which I like. And so I had to remind myself because I go,
I bet that's what
So Seduction of the Innocent was a book written by a psychiatrist in either the 50s or the 60s that was written about what he felt comic books were doing to the American youth. So it's highly likely that Gene was aware of that book, given his love of.
And he probably wrote that down in a notebook, like Nicholas said, and said, "I'm going to write a song around."
Well, I'd be amazed if he doesn't have a copy of that book because it was one of those. This is what's ruining America today, 50s kind of things. He's probably had Seduction of the Innocent in his head for his whole fucking life.
And it sounds very similar to Carnival of Souls as well, which I think is an old movie as well. He would have definitely seen that movie. I'm pretty sure whenever I type in Carnival of Souls, there's an old 60s movie or 50s movie or something. Yeah.
That's another terrible Kiss song as well. It's not a Kiss song.
What?
They demoed it.
Oh.
They all sound like fake Seinfeld movie titles from that episode. What movie do you want to see? Carnival of Souls, Seduction of the Innocent.
The Innocent, yeah. A woman's journey from Milan to erotic journey from Milan to Minsk.
Milan to Minsk. Master and Slave. Childhood's End.
Nicholas, were you a skip or play?
Skip.
Skip. All right.
Yeah.
What's next? Do you need to play I Confess? That's next.
Hang on.
You can.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this one. Wait, and then it goes into. Hang on.
It never goes away.
Oh yeah, and then in. Yeah. Okay. Right. Keep going. I just need to refresh it because as we get to the end here, these are the ones I probably haven't heard.
Yeah, you've turned it off long before we got.
Yeah.
No, I've definitely all of these I've definitely heard quite a few times. I just need it's just the title. I just need a reminder as to which one that
because it's a non sequitur, really.
Yeah, I confess.
All right, so I confess, Joe.
Play. I dig it. I like Gene and Paul coming in together and singing together on this. Kind of reminds me a little bit like the some of that the Not for the Innocent Lick It Up demo version. I kind of dig it. Kind of
Interesting.
I'm play adjacent.
All right. What do you think lyrically about it?
Yeah. It's one of those ones, Jason, where I like the music enough where I really don't. It doesn't, whatever.
Fair enough.
It's not one of the and then the lyrics stuck on top of it,
Got it. Yeah. All right. Dave.
Skip. And I've just written here, it's not bad. It's just not anything for me. It's just completely forgettable. I think by the time I'm at track 10 on this record, I'm starting to nod off a little bit.
Yeah, that's another one for me in the Gene category. I thought Paul songs were way better on this than Gene songs. But it's another one of the Genes that's kind of, I play it generally speaking, but if I had to skip another one, it would probably be one that I skipped. But of the three that I skipped, I like
two of them are my favorite.
Yeah, two of them are your favorite. But of the three that I skipped, this one is probably the better of the three. But if I'm skipping any of that, I would skip this one as well. So, Nicholas.
I think this one's a play for me because to me it has the core. The verse doesn't do much for me, but that chorus when they all come in has that same. Oh, it's a bit like Revenge. It has that feel of Revenge had to it. And I go, oh, this is what I wanted. I basically wanted Revenge Part 2 because I love Revenge. It's my favorite of the later album. So this one was the closest to giving me what I wanted from that lineup at the time. A bit of fun. So yeah. So this is a play.
Yeah.
I go, there's Kiss when I hear the chorus on that. I'm like, oh, that's what I wanted. That's exactly what you're saying, Nicholas. I feel the same way.
Yeah. All right. In the mirror.
In the bin.
Oh, okay.
Skip. It's predictable. It's another song Eric should have sung. It's just doesn't feel complete. I think it's lazy production.
Okay. Joe.
I kind of dig it. So, play-ish.
Yeah.
It's like the most Paul Stanley. It's like Paul. They threw it down at the bottom of the record, track number 11, and it's the most Paul song on the record.
I agree.
It's got the riff. It's got it's all that stuff, and he sounds powerful and assured and all the stuff. So,
and as a drummer, I love the drum break in it. Singer is great in it. It's a play for me. I love this song.
Yeah, it's a play for me. This is one of my favorite ones. My favorite riff on the album. I really love the main riff in it, and yeah, it feels again. Those last two tracks have got that little hint of the things that I personally like about where they were at that point. Feels a bit more Kiss-like.
Yeah,
yeah.
Clearly, Dave did Revenge. So. Yeah, wrong. Well.
Yeah, I didn't like Revenge, so anything that sounds like Revenge, I'm like, nope.
Wrong. You're wrong.
He's not wrong, though.
All right. Joe is happy. Last song.
Yeah.
I Walk Alone.
All right, here's the controversial opinion of the evening.
Okay.
By far the best song on the record. Wow. By a landslide. I just wish Gene would have done the vocals. And when he kicks in at the end, it's awesome. Yeah, when is it Gene, does Paul come in as well?
Paul and Gene together.
Then I'm like, oh, I wanted that the whole song because Bruce just isn't the greatest vocalist. I wonder if where this falls in. Like, does he record this track on his own? Like, I don't know what's going on, and they're like, yeah, put it in or whatever. But I love it. It's got that vibe. It's the anthemic kind of thing. I dig it. I love it. I think it's the best song on the record, even though I think the vocals are not good.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Okay. I'm on board with you. I don't know if I think it's the best song on the record, but I do love it. I think it's great. And you're right. The best, I think the highlight on the whole album is when Paul and Gene come in at the end of that song. It's the most Kiss-like sounding stuff, and it's fantastic. So definitely a play for me. Dave.
According to what I've got written here, it's a skip. It's got a shit chorus, and Bruce's vocals make it fall flat. Just no. I thought it was an awful end to this record. Like 3 or 4 songs at the end.
Wow.
That were just crap, and this just topped off the crap.
You know what's funny is
nothing we've said.
Yeah. We invited Dave on, or I was under the impression that Dave loved this record, like The Elder. I think you hate this record, Dave.
No, it's 50-50. I've done 6 skips, 6 plays.
70-30, I think.
But the ones I've disliked, I've really disliked because of all the reasons that Joe said.
Yeah. All right, Nicholas.
Now that Nicholas
is good then?
Yeah. No, my computer was dying. No, I was about to say I didn't share my notes with Joe, but I wrote down by far the best song on the album. This is the one I love. I listen to this every time. It's the type of Kiss I like. But I can see why most of us are leaning this way, is because if you don't like Revenge, like Dave doesn't, then these songs aren't going to do it for you. But for me, I go, wow, again, it's like, this is where they should have been if they just got rid of the grungier stuff. They should have just done a kick-ass kind of hard rock record.
Right.
I quite like it. Yeah, so I love it. Bruce's vocals, they're not the greatest. However, I enjoy it in the same reason I enjoy Ace singing, is it's a different sound. So there's just something not like, or like a different vocalist on there is sometimes just nice. I do always laugh because it sounds like he's putting on aftershave, because it always sounds like he's singing I Walk Alone.
I walk alone.
That's what I hear every time. I go, I walk alone. Can't you see? That's where my head goes every time.
We're going to end this on a dad joke.
That's where my brain. That's the way my brain works. Yeah, I walk alone.
I walk alone. And Joe would have thought those would have been better lyrics on most of the rest of the songs.
On most of the rest of the record. Yes. This is the I off The Elder for me. This is the I Walk Alone off of Carnival of Souls is that for me, because I like I think it's kind of like, oh, there's Kiss, there it goes, that was Kiss, but it's like the opportunities are so missed on this record to actually be the band we all loved.
Why do you think Eric didn't sing any of these?
Was he singing it on anything? Did he sing in Badlands? Or did he just not found his voice at that point?
He never sang a lead vocal on any record until Sonic Boom.
Wow.
Oh, okay. What about live? Was Kiss the first band he sung vocals live?
That I'm not aware of, because I've seen some bootleg Badlands stuff. I don't think he sang anything in Badlands. Obviously.
Yeah. It's interesting, because he's quite a good singer, but then he just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He sang backing vocals on every record.
Yeah.
but no, not until Sonic Boom did he sing lead that I'm aware of. So.
Yeah, and obviously the first time we would have heard him was on Unplugged, doing Nothing to Lose. Those verses. Is that the first time?
The first time we would have heard him?
Heard him sing. Eric sing.
Eric's sung. I mean, live. Eric sung Black Diamond live.
Oh yes, that's right. Sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, Unplugged's after
All
that.
through the Revenge Tour he sung.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So,
Jason, what did you think of I Walk Alone?
I said I was in agreement with you. I had a whole.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember I said
12:30 in the evening.
I was like, I agree with Paul and Gene. I think that's the best.
I just wanted to hear you agree with me more again.
Yeah. So no, I love I Walk Alone. I think it's a good song. So.
All right.
Well, we did it. That was quite painful.
People do ask, how can you talk for ages about Kiss songs, and I think it's because of their albums vary in style, and each style grabs a different person in a different way. Like the Elder will grab one person, someone might like Unmasked, and all through their thing, people want a different thing from this band. I think that points to why people are that interested in this band, is because they do keep changing, and everyone grabs their little bit of their favorite version of this. Like, Dave's not wrong, I'm not wrong, but we both want a different sound from our Kiss than each other. And it gives it to you. Whereas there are some bands, I mean, with slight variations, but you wouldn't say anything from Flick of the Switch onwards is hugely different to itself. Right. After Bon Scott went, they kind of were pretty similar with just a bit of production stuff. So there's a lot of bands that were the same the whole way through. So
right,
you're not going to get people that against saying, I like this version, I like that version.
Yeah, and as I said all along, and Joe alluded to it way earlier, was that was what I loved most about Kiss, was the diversity through it, but I didn't grab this part and this part. I just soaked it all up as it came along. I just loved all of it. I loved that, from 79 to 83, if you didn't know who those people were, if you were to play those records for the most part back to back, they wouldn't think it was the same band. Dynasty, Unmasked, The Elder, Creatures of the Night. You just wouldn't have any idea. And that was all in a 3-year period.
Actually, I wanted to ask you guys that had probably listened to it a bit more chronologically, because as I said, I wasn't hugely a Kiss fan when I was younger, but then read about the Revenge, a bit before Revenge, probably God Gave Rock and Roll to You. I kind of went and bought them all together. So I'm kind of listening to them out of order. But I wanted to know, as you went through that journey and each album you got suddenly sounded different, did you have moments when you put the needle on the record and went, well, this is very different from the last one? Or did you just go, it doesn't matter, it didn't sound jarring to you?
I think you know my answer.
Did it feel like a natural progression, or were there moments where you went, this is very different?
I don't know about that, if it felt like a natural progression. I was just intrigued by it. I mean, I very, very, very vividly remember the first time I put the needle on The Elder and the Oath coming on and going, I mean, that didn't sound like anything remotely Kiss had ever done. And I just instantly loved it. I just thought, wow, these guys can do anything. But I was young, man,
Yeah.
I was 6, 7 years old or something. And I just loved it, man. I don't know if I thought it.
I was talking to my buddy Dave, and we were saying that when we first discovered them, I think Double Platinum had been released. I think that was my first one. But we had all this stuff to go and explore, and these are all things in bargain bins. So we would have been getting them out of sequence, and it took us a while to go, oh, the costumes change.
Yeah.
And they changed this, and they changed this, and they changed this. So then when Unmasked came out, and I remember getting that new, I was like, well, okay, this is just another change.
Right.
And then The Elder was another change again. And I think the reason The Elder means so much to me is because of the emotional throwback that does. I know where I was. I know what I was living. I was a kid. Like, it's got a lot of significance to me in that way. So I have a lot more attachment to that, and that's probably why I don't like the non-makeup stuff. It's because I was a different kid. I was a teenager. I was like just into different things, and Kiss weren't kind of it anymore for me.
And see, I mean, and with me, that just never happened. It was always Kiss for me. Everybody else came after. It didn't matter who it was. And so everything that came along, it just became a part of me. I have nostalgia for all of it.
Actually, you know what an Aussie friend said to me the other day about. So he got into them with Dynasty and Unmasked, and then he went back and got some of the older records. And this is something I never thought of. He said, I just assumed Ace was one of the lead vocalists because you had Talk to Me as like a single, but also like three tracks. And I think it's almost the same as Gene on Dynasty. So from his point, so he from his point of view, he was one of the lead vocalists, and he said that I went back and got the albums and he wasn't there, and I was going, oh, why is he not singing? I thought that was a strange way to look at it, but I guess if that's the order you listen to it, you go, well, where's one of the lead singers gone?
Yeah, that's interesting.
He was in the band, like it's like a reverse way of listening.
Yeah, I never thought about that before. Yeah, Ace has more songs on Dynasty than Gene does. Gene only has 2 on Dynasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Joe, I got one question for you, and then we can go. Are there any Kiss records, and don't tell me which one because we may do a skip or play on it, but are there any Kiss records that you love top to bottom, every song on the record?
I would assume yes, but I would have to really go and look and think.
I would think one for sure, but
yeah. I mean, there's probably maybe a couple.
Maybe a couple.
Yeah.
And I assume Dave, for sure you have a couple that you love top to bottom, every song.
Yeah, and I think it's probably the same as Joe. Where we go, it's that. Probably the albums either side of it. I've got 1 or 2 where you'll listen to it because they're on there, and they're integral to. Some of them they're like fillers, if you will, because I know what song is coming after that.
Right.
Even if I'm not in love with that song because I thought that one was a bit cheesy, I know what's coming up, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So yeah, the stuff in the 70s, and something like Double Platinum. Oddly enough, because that was the first. I just listened to that. I'd play that right through without even considering that it's compilation.
Yeah, I much prefer a lot of those remixes on Double Platinum over the original mixes on the record. Calling Dr. Love on Double Platinum, to me, buries Calling Dr. Love mix on
Strutter 78 was my favorite song for a long time.
Fantastic.
Yeah. The bass sound on it too, like that's my favorite version of Rock and Roll All Night is the Double Platinum version. It's just a bit more souped up bass on it. I love it. Yeah. That was my first one that I really. Was the first classic Kiss I heard. So I think going back and finding the other was going, oh, Firehouse is slower, and like hearing the differences in it because there was quite a few differences in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The changes in Hard Luck Woman with the drums not coming in until after the first measure. Yeah, it's interesting. So, all right,
cool,
guys.
All right,
thanks for doing it.
We'll see you.
That's it.
That's it.
See you on the next one.
What's the code, Jason? Nicholas needs it.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
All right.
It's Nicholas. Not a lot of people pay attention to Nicholas.
Sometimes I want to punch him in the throat. Don't tell him I said that.